Dave, ready to wrap up Sage Demo Day?
Yeah, there's nothing better than being the last person because then I really get to go out with the big bang and the big oomph. So I'm excited about that. I'm happy to be here with you today. All right, well, let me get into it. So, if you haven't heard of Fraction, we are a procure-to-pay software and we really manage that whole procure-to-pay piece. But we have been in the market for a long time. And so, many of you would be familiar with us with our old name, the eRequester product. We joined together with Fraction in 2019 and merged those systems and became Fraction. But we've been in the Sage marketplace since about 2001, 2002. So we've been around a long time. We have over 1,000 organizations that have used our system. We're managing over 16 billion in spend. And we have integrations with Sage 100, 300, 500, and Intact. And we actually have two systems. So we actually have our on-premise system, which is really deeply integrated to Sage 100, 300, 500 at the PO level. And we also have our cloud-based system, which is the one I'll be showing you today that integrates at the AP level. And we'll talk about the whole procure to pay side of things because we go right from the requisition to the purchase order to do the receiving and to approve the invoice and take that whole process. And we really grew up in the procurement side of the space, and we have things that other people don't have around things that will automate your purchasing experience, especially when you're dealing with some of these online marketplaces, like with things with Punch Out and Punch In, and work on some really new and fun, exciting things with Microsoft Teams integration. So a lot of cool stuff. But let's just talk really about procure to pay and that all-in-one solution. So we start at the requisition stage, and you can see on my screen here, I've got both the web version and we have a mobile client. So depending on where your workforce is and what they're doing, if they are very mobile or you have that executive that you want approving, but they're never at their desk, they can use that experience exactly like they would on their mobile phone as if they were on their computer. And so we do that purchase request. We have policy and budget control. And what we want to do is put the data in the hands of the decision maker at the point of decision so that they can make great decisions for you in terms of what should we be purchasing? Is that a good time right now? Do we have visibility? And visibility for your accounting group is great because they want to know what's going on. But we also don't want, 100 people or 300 people sitting in your accounting system trying to create POs. This gives them all outside the accounting system the ability to do that and really see what's going on without exposing your data with inside of that ERP. So we create purchase orders. We automatically send those out. You can track those emails and see if they've actually been opened by your vendor, so you know if they've received your PO or not. And then we have AP automation as well, where we capture that invoice. We use AI extraction to be able to bring all that header detail and line item detail out. And when we do that, we're able to match that up to the PO. And then we provide spend analytics through Power BI. So you really get a good view and you're able to slice and dice your data. And like I said, we have punch out technology, catalogs. We're able to track expenses. All that's happening, and it doesn't matter where your people are, what's going on. And so when we do this, we kind of look at expense management, or sorry, spend management is all encompassing. So it's not just what we purchase, because we've got a lot of projects that we're tracking. If you're a not-for-profit, you've got restricted funds you're using. If you're in the education space, you could be buying to departments, those type of things. And so we don't just track purchasing, but we also do the expense component too, so that we can really provide a consolidated view of what is your spend in those areas. And we have integration over 50 punch out vendors. We have the Power BI, as I mentioned. And then we've got the Microsoft Teams integration, which we're releasing right away. I don't think anybody else has really got that out there at this point, where you're able to work and create your POs right what's inside of Microsoft Teams and also do collaboration on Teams. So you can talk to the people in the tools that you use today without having to come outside those and open up another application, which is great. And obviously integrated into the Sage products. Now, one of the problems people have with projects like this, and everybody's kind of alluded to that, is user adoption is key. You'll see here that we've won many awards over the last couple of years for our user adoption, and this is rated by the users, and we're number one across ease of use, customer support, and overall value for the system. But these are the users saying, "Hey, I'm willing to use it because it's easy, it works the way I work," and that user adoption is key for being successful. Here's just a quick view of what our mobile application looks like, and I can do all the same things I could do on the desktop, obviously purchase requests, expense reports, but the budget impact review. So I can, from my phone, take a look and say, hey, where am I at in my budget? Should I be approving this, yes or no? and even if you are over your budget, you may need to approve that, but it gives you that option and gives you the warning saying, hey, you're over your budget. Is this compliant? Are you within scope? What do you need to do? And so you can make a decision at that point because you've got the right data in your hands. So I thought I'm actually going to go and do a demo here. That's always everybody's favorite part. So as you can see here, I'm logged in. I'm actually logged in as a general requester. So if I come in here, I can say, okay, well, here's my dashboard. What have I done? So in the month, here's what I purchased this month. Here's my activity timeline, all the pieces that I'm working on, what's been received, what is outstanding as a purchase order, what's been invoiced. But if I come in here and I say, well, I want to make a request, and so I'm going to do a purchase request here, you'll see I've already made one for Sage Demo Days. So I'm going to go in here. You can see I'm looking at buying a Surface laptop. Now, you can go in here and create a goods or service. It's quite easy. I simply pull it up, describe what I want. I pick my approval path. So for example, with this Surface laptop, I've already picked a general approval. But if I was IT specific, I could say, I want this to go to IT or sales. And they would then have that ability. But here's what I want to show you. And this is how we can really automate your purchasing process with some of these online marketplaces that you deal with. And so one of them is Amazon. And so all I simply do is say, well, I want to buy from one of my punch out vendors. And you can see here, I've got a number of punch out vendors that I'm able to buy from. Amazon is usually my easiest one to use because everybody's quite familiar with that. So if I click on Amazon, it's going to take me out to the site and it recognizes who I am by my login with inside of our system. And it says, okay, well, here you are, Jesse, your hello sales at Requester at Fraxion. And here we are in the account. And I can start shopping just like I always would. So let's say for this case, I need a Surface keyboard. Going to pop one up here. And this is how we automate that process. So here's the one I want. Obviously, that's on sale, even better. I'm going to add that to my cart, just like I normally would. Now, at that point, if I click on my cart, it's going to say something different. Instead of it saying check out, it's actually going to say submit these items for approval. And this is the key, and this is what makes it so awesome. When I say submit these for approval, it's actually going to tell me, wait a second, I'm adding these to your procurement system. And so what happens is you can see here now brought in the item description. It's picked my approval path because of what I'm already doing. It's picked my vendor, and it's brought all that line item detail inside of my system. Now, when I go and submit this for approval, it will go directly to my approver. My approver, when they look at it and say, oh yeah, I approve that, they click approve. It will send an electronic PO back to Amazon. Amazon fulfills. I'll obviously do the receiving, and then they'll send me that invoice and away we go. And what this does is it really controls your spend and make sure you get the pricing you want from some of these vendors. So for example, if I've got specific pricing at CDW or any of these other ones at Uline that I want to make sure that everybody's buying through them, I can control that spend here and make sure that I'm getting the maximum value from that vendor, and I'm able to go back to them for discounts and those type of things. And they're using the vendors I want them to use, and it eliminates that rogue spending. So this is a great process. Now, once I've submitted that for approval, depending on the approval path, it'll go through. So I'm actually going to log out as a general requester, and I'm going to go into the approver. And so, department approver. Now, department approval, you'll see that their dashboard looks different. It'll say, well, what have you approved? What's going on? What are your requests? All those pieces. I can look at that monthly. I can look at it quarterly. I can look at it on an annual basis. Again, my activity timeline shows me what I've done recently and where things are going. So in this case, I've got a purchase order. So I'm going to go to some open purchase orders here just to show you what they look like. So here's some office supplies right here. We bought this from Advantage Group. So you can see here, here's the PO that went out, what the vendor was, what their physical address was for us, where we ordered it to. And I can see here, okay, well, I did some receiving. And so when I look at that, I'm able to look at any of these open ones and say, well, we actually ordered 10, but we only received 8. They were back ordered. So I can put that in there. Now your accounting team knows, hey, we've got some outstanding pieces to this PO. That's why it's not matching to the invoice. What do we want to do? Do we want to pay this? Are we waiting? They can make a decision. You can see here, I've also attached, I can drag and drop. I can take a picture from my phone. I've put that receiving in here so I know what it is. I can also rate my vendors. So for example, if I want to say, how good is this vendor? I can say, well, are they poor, acceptable, exceptional, poor, good, or exceptional. And if I've had any issues, I can label them there. And what this does is gives your purchasing people the opportunity to say, okay, well, who are our best vendors? Who are the ones who deliver properly and do the right things? And so we can continue to use those. Because if you've got a poor vendor, but nobody knows that you keep ordering there and you're having problems, you want to be able to identify that up front so people are making that purchase properly. You can also say here, well, I just want to see what that PO looked like. I want to know where it went. So here it is right here. I just click print. That's what it went out. It's got my logo. These are all customizable, obviously, make them work the way you want. And so I can see what that PO was. If I needed to reissue it, I could. But you'll see here that the email went out here to their group here. And if it was received, it says right here, email was open on 11/4/2024 at 8:30 a.m. They looked at our PO, which is great. So now we can see what's going on. So this is all great. We can now see I've got a PO or I've got a request. I've created a PO. It's gone out. So let's see now what happens, and we've received it. Let's go see what happens now when we get to the invoice. And this is the part that lots of people don't realize that we've done in the last years. And so we use the Microsoft Azure platform as our to capture our invoices. It's simply, we give you an email that they send it to you, so you don't have to change anything on your end. You just simply forward all your emails that come in to us at that point. Second here. There it goes. And we want to make sure, so once those invoices come in, we're capturing, whether they're in a Word document, a PDF, an Excel, we're capturing those and bringing them in. So now I can look at my payments and say, well, what do I got? Again, my dashboard shows me what's going on. I look at it from an AP automation perspective, and I can see how many invoices have I processed already this month, but how many have I done actually quarterly or yearly? And it will show me all the pieces I've done and what I've approved and how much time and accuracy I've got on that system. So if I look at an invoice that's come in, you can see here, I've got a couple that are an AI review. And that's because when we use the Microsoft Azure platform, they're bringing all the data, they're bringing all that in and pushing that into our system. It takes, between 30 seconds and a minute, and that invoice is ready for AI review for you. Now, if I go in here and say, okay, well, what have I got here? It'll show me what that invoice looks like. So vendor with second gear, it's capturing that data. Its invoice number is here, and you can see what my accuracy level is. So we find the accuracy is actually really good up until about 13 or 14%. It's actually capturing, and I'll show you what that kind of looks like. In this case, I didn't have a purchase order number on the invoice, which happens on a regular basis. For example, some people are paying multiple POs on an invoice. And so they didn't recognize that on there. So I know that that's going to be a problem, but I'll show you how we can link those up. Now you can see down here, I've got excellent validation of what's going on. But then I said, oh, wait a second. Some of these are not, they're getting a little lower. So why is that? So if you go here, it'll highlight the one I'm looking at, and it's 3, but it's just, see how it's got some extra what do you call those things? The brackets that are not quite in the right place. So it's saying, well, that's a little out, but it isn't. It's got the right amounts. It's got the right pieces. And I can edit any of these if I want to at that point. But let's say we get down here. Oh, wait, I got one here at 26%. Why is that happening? So if I go in here, you can see 3 spools. So it got the 3, but it was saying to you, hey, this is different than what you would normally expect. We're showing you that there's a difference. Do you want to correct this? Yes or no? And once it's correct, no big deal. You can go forward with it. And so now the other part of this that we want to make sure is we want to see, well, tell me what the received items are, like which POs are we looking at? And so here's where I can actually go in and link the POs associated to this. So if it's the color toner, if it's the, whatever it might be, I can link all these POs, and I can link multiple POs to this invoice. And this allows me to do that. I can also see the full history of everything that's going on, when it came in, when it was updated. And I have this audit trail, not just from an invoice perspective, but from a PO perspective, so I can see who requested it, when it was requested, when it was sent to the approver, what the approval path was, who said yes, was it rejected, yes or no, and so it goes through that whole process for you. And so once that's in there, and I can drag and drop. So when I get to that invoicing level, I can drag and drop any of these in there. So the last part is I just want to show you quickly here while I have 2 seconds. Um, so here's an invoice that's come in from our Fraxion system. You can see here, I've included the attachment. It's ready to go. And this is where it shows up with inside of your, I'm using Intact on this one. And so this is, it would come into your Intact. I would do a search, or I could look at it by vendor name, but it would come in as ready to pay. You'll see here, there's the piece. Here's the invoice PDF, and you can see that we've brought that in from our side. So it's integrated. So you don't have to have your accounting people popping back into Fraxion all the time to look at that. They can see it right where they work and where they want to do that payment. There's the bill. All the line items are, oops, went a little faster. All the line items are there and available to them. It shows everything that came in. And that's it. And right on my 15 minutes this time. If you're interested in talking to us in the future about your procurement needs and that whole procure to pay process, we would love to chat with you. Just scan the QR code on there, and that will send you to our website and give you a bunch of information and show you how to contact us. It's just sales@fraxion.biz. We'll get you through, and we can certainly have a discussion and help you out.
Thanks, Jesse, for wrapping up Sage Demo Day. Appreciate it.
No problem. Glad to be at the end and finish it off with a bang.